Michael, who is Chidinma?
Michael, I have to ask.
What kind of question is that?
It's important, please. The hospital sent a bill, 50,000 naira, for a woman named Chidima Okafor, to this address. Your name is the guarantor.
You are misreading it.
I am a nurse, Michael. I have never misread a hospital document in my life.
I will explain everything later.
No, you will not. Because I am done waiting for later.
Sandra had not bought a new dress in 3 years. Not because she had no taste, not because she had stopped caring about herself, but because every time she stood in front of a market store and reached for something she liked, she would remember the electricity bill, the rent arrears, the loan Michael said they had taken from his uncle, the school fees for his younger sister that somehow always became her responsibility, and she would put the fabric back down, tighten her bag against her side, and walk home to a husband who told her they were managing together. Together. That word had lived inside her chest like a warm coal for 7 years. Together we are struggling. Together we will survive this. Together, Sandra, just hang on longer. She held on. God knows she held on. She was a nurse at a government hospital in Surrey, and she worked double shifts 4 days a week. Her feet ached before she reached the gate every morning. She smelled of antiseptic and tiredness. She came home and still cooked because Michael said eating out was a waste of money they did not have. She washed by hand because the washing machine broke in their second year of marriage, and Michael said they would fix it when things got better. She called her mother in Enugu and sent what little she could, then apologized for not sending more, then cried quietly in the bathroom so Michael would not hear and remind her that they were both sacrificing. Michael worked in procurement. His office was on the island. He left the house every morning in clean shirts Sandra pressed, and came home every evening with stories about how difficult the market was, how his oga was not paying on time, how contracts kept falling through, how he was trying. She believed him because she loved him. She believed him because she had chosen him. She believed him because when a woman has given 7 years of her life to a man and a marriage, the alternative to believing him is too heavy to carry. So she carried the belief instead, even when it grew heavier than the truth. The hospital bill arrived on a Thursday. Sandra came home from a night shift still in her uniform, shoulders bent with exhaustion. The envelope was on the floor just inside the door. It must have been slipped under. She almost stepped over it. Something made her pick it up. Something in the way her name was not on it. The way only Michael's name sat at the top, neat and official, above an address she had scrubbed and cleaned and called home for 7 years. She read it in the corridor before she even took off her shoes. 50,000 naira. Maternity expenses. Patient Chidima Okafor. Guarantor Michael Adeyemi. Relationship to patient, partner. Sandra read it twice, then a third time. Then she folded it carefully, the way you fold something you intend to keep as evidence. And she walked into the sitting room where Michael was watching television in a shirt she did not recognize. A new shirt, crisp and well-fitted.
And she had not bought him any because they were managing together. She asked him who Chidima was. He told her she was misreading it. She was a nurse. She had never misread a hospital document in her life. He said he would explain later. She told him she was done waiting for later. Then she walked into the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed they shared, and made a decision so quiet it had no sound. No tears, no shouting, just a door closing inside her, gently, firmly, forever. She did not confront him that night. She did not throw things or demand answers or weep into her pillow. She lay down, stared at the ceiling, and began to think because Sandra had always been a thinker. It was what made her good at her job. She did not react to symptoms. She investigated. And so she began to investigate her own marriage. It started with small things she had always dismissed. The times Michael's phone screen went dark too quickly when she walked past. The weekends he claimed to be at site visits that left no dust on his shoes. The month he came home smelling of a restaurant he had never been taken to. The way his mood shifted when she asked too many questions, not into anger, but into a careful, practiced distance, the kind of man maintained when he is managing more than one life. She said nothing. She watched everything. 2 weeks after the hospital bill, Sandra borrowed a day off and visited Michael's office on the island, not to confront him, to confirm. She told the receptionist she was his wife, that she was dropping off his lunch. The girl at the front desk smiled warmly and went to call someone. The man who came out was not Michael's Oga. He was the company's accountant, and his face shifted when she said her name. Over tea, she did not ask for. He told her carefully, gently, the way people speak when they are afraid of the weight of what they know, that Michael had been promoted 18 months ago. Senior procurement manager. His salary had doubled. That he drove a company car she had never seen. That he had taken a 2-week trip to Dubai the previous year for a trade conference. Sandra smiled and thanked the man for his time. She drove home on a downfall, the way she always did, because Michael had told her they could not afford a car. That evening, she went through every corner of the house with the thoroughness of a woman who had been cleaning it for 7 years and knew every inch. She found things she was not supposed to find. Bank statements folded inside an old textbook on the highest shelf, a savings account she had never known existed, 4.5 million naira, sitting quiet and untouched, a property document in Ajah, Lagos, receipts, a second phone, switched off, buried under winter clothes they had no business owning in Lagos. She sat with everything spread across the bed and felt something she had not expected to feel. Not rage, not heartbreak. Something colder and cleaner than both. Clarity.
She had spent 7 years being broke inside a marriage that was not broke. She had apologized to her mother for not sending enough. She had pressed his new shirt with a flat iron that shocked her hand sometimes because the wiring was old and she kept saying they would fix it when things got better. She had skipped meals and worn shoes with worn-out soles and told herself sacrifice was love, that suffering together meant something. But she had been suffering alone. Michael had not been struggling with her. He had been watching her struggle while he built something else entirely, another account, another woman, another life on the foundation of her exhaustion. Sandra did not cry. She took photographs of everything, then she replaced everything exactly as she had found it, went to the kitchen and cooked dinner. When Michael came home, she served him, listened to his day, and said goodnight like a woman with nothing on her mind. Over the next 6 weeks, she moved with a precision that would have impressed even her most senior colleagues at the hospital. She consulted a lawyer, a woman in Lekki who had been recommended by a colleague and who listened without blinking. She opened her own account at a different bank. She quietly moved her salary there. She gathered every document she needed, made copies, and stored them somewhere Michael would never think to look. She called her mother in Engo and told her she was coming home for a visit. Her mother had something in her voice and did not ask questions. Mothers who have watched their daughters carry too much always know when the load is finally being set down. On a Tuesday morning in March, while Michael was at work building the life he had hidden from her, Sandra packed 2 bags, only what was hers. She did not take anything he had bought because she understood now that everything in that house had been bought with money she had freed him up to save by paying for everything herself. She left his shirt hanging, she left the flat iron that shocked her hand, she left the broken washing machine. She left a note on the kitchen table. It was not long. I thought we were broke together. Turns out only I was. I hope she was worth 7 years of my life. Goodbye, Michael. She walked out of the house at 9 in the morning and did not look back. It took Michael 4 months to understand what he had lost. Not Sandra at first. He had convinced himself she would return, that she was emotional, that she would cool down and come back to reason. But Sandra did not return. Her number worked, but she did not answer. Her lawyer answered instead. And what the lawyer said made Michael's chest tighten in ways he had not prepared for. Sandra had filed. She had documentation. She had evidence of assets concealed during the marriage. She was calm, organized, and completely unreachable by sentiment. He tried her mother's house in Enugu. Her mother came to the door and looked at him the way a woman looks at something she has waited a long time to say something to. "She is not here," she said, "and if she was, you would not be the one she received." Then she closed the door. Without Sandra's salary quietly absorbing the household costs, Michael's carefully constructed double life began to crack. Chidinma, who had grown accustomed to a certain standard, found that the standard was slipping. The flat in Ajah cost more than he had calculated when he was not also being supplemented by a wife who believed they were struggling. The savings account the lawyer had flagged was now part of legal proceedings. His promotion, his hidden wealth, his concealed assets, all of it was now on paper, in a file, in the hands of someone who knew exactly what to do with it. His family called him. His mother wept on the phone and asked what kind of man hides money from his wife. His brothers visited and sat across from him with faces he had never seen them wear before. Not anger, but something worse. Disappointment. Chidinma left 6 months after Sandra left. There was nothing dramatic about it. She simply stopped returning his calls. The baby was hers to raise. The flat was going back to the landlord. Michael called Sandra on a Sunday evening 11 months after she left. He had been rehearsing what to say for weeks. When she answered, her voice was calm and completely without bitterness, which frightened him more than anger would.
He told her he was sorry. He told her he had made the worst mistake of his life. He told her he did not know what he had until it was gone, which was the truest thing he ever said to her, and also the most useless. Sandra listened until it was finished. Then she said, "Michael, I wish you well. I genuinely do. But the woman who would have forgiven you, she died in that place, pressing your shirts with a broken iron. The woman speaking to you now is someone else entirely, and she has nothing for you." She ended the call, not in anger, in peace, because Sandra had come back to herself in ways she had not expected. Away from the weight of a man's hidden knife, she breathed differently. She slept fully for the first time in years. She bought herself a dress, a yellow one, soft fabric, the kind she had put back on market stalls too many times to count. She wore it to church on a Sunday morning, and her mother looked at her and could not stop smiling. She sent her mother money every month now, real money, the kind she had always wanted to send and always apologized for not sending. Her mother never asked where it came from. She simply prayed louder. Sandra did not hate Michael. Hate would have required her to keep thinking about him, and she had better things to think about. She had a life to rebuild, one that belonged entirely to her, built on a foundation nobody could hide from and nobody could lie about. She thought they were broke together. She knew now that she had never been broke. She had only been deceived into believing she was. And the moment that deception ended, everything she was came back to her, strong, clear, and completely her own. Was Sandra right to live in silence, or should she have confronted him face to face? Drop your answer in the comments. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs it today. And drop a comment. We want to hear from you. God bless you.